Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, America's #1 trusted resource for realtors who demand authentic, real-time coaching. Starring award-winning real estate coaches Tim and Julie Harris. Get ready for unfiltered, full-strength honesty about what is truly working to get you into action and make you money in this new real estate boom. Now to our hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back to Real Estate Coaching Radio, and we are your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris. Julie's going to be jumping on the line here in just 2 seconds. We're going to pick up where we left off last week. We had a lot of great feedback, and I certainly appreciate it. 12 Success Secrets of the Top Producer, and this is part 2, so we're going to finish out the notes that we'd prepared for all of you. So before we get to the next point, which I believe is point number 3 or 4, I want to again thank all of you for helping to make this the #1 industry radio show. We originally started out just wanting to do this radio show for all of our thousands of students, and I guess the thousands of students like what they're listening to because they pass the radio show along to all their friends and family members that are agents and all the rest of it. And so, long story short, guys, we have 100,000 regular listeners right now, and I sincerely appreciate your support. What I really like is the feedback we get from all of you. Some of our radio show topics, when we're not doing industry expert interviews, when we're not doing superstar interviews, when Julie and I are presenting, a lot of the topics are inspired by you. We might have a free coaching call with one of you. We might be inspired in some other way to, like today's topic, for example, those qualities that we're sharing with all of you guys are the things that basically, these are things we learn from coaching, certainly, but the topic of this radio show is something that was inspired by one of the listeners or several listeners asking for this information. So anything that you guys want us to help you with, it is your prerogative to ask us, and we will certainly accommodate in most cases when you're having a request or an idea of a topic. So are literally tens of thousands of other agents. So share with us whatever thoughts you have. Now, a couple other announcements before we get to the radio show today. Number one, and I do appreciate those of you who've already responded, we are definitely looking to hire new coaches. Now, we're very, very selective on the coaches we choose to work with us. That's, just know that going in. You have to, you can read the description on the website, timandjulieharris.com, of what we're looking for. But really the bottom line is we're looking to hire 10 coaches. So if you think you'd like to be a coach and you qualify, or if you're currently coaching and training, or if you have, coached and trained in the past, or just anything that you think that might qualify you to be a coach, certainly, again, look at the requirements on the website because we are selective. Do put in an application because, like I said, we'd like to hire 10 new coaches. And, of course, we're only going to hire the best of the best. That is the focus of our coaching business. It's interesting. We're probably going to have to stop allowing new enrollments, I'm guessing, in another 60 days into our coaching program simply because we're not just going to be adding coaches who aren't qualified. So we're going to probably, within the next 60 days, I'm assuming, run up against the fact that we are going to, frankly, not allow any more enrollments until we add some higher quality and great quality coaches. So as you guys know, we have probably the greatest coaching staff that there is out there for agents, and these are folks that generally have been selling hundreds of houses per year, folks that have really invested a lot of time in becoming coaches, not just any willy-nilly trainer. Really, our focus is doing the best of the best for you guys as far as the real estate coaching essentials, and having the best of the best in terms of coaches help you understand the material. So, guys, let's talk about another announcement that I'm really excited about, and this is something that we've been working on for a couple years. Something that, frankly, I've always wanted to do, but it's been hard to do because of just a whole bunch of moving parts to it. But we are now able to offer, and what are in essence student loans. So a lot of you are new into the industry or coming back into the industry, and you don't have yet the cash flow that you'd like to have. And so for that reason, you haven't been able to become a coaching student. Well, I've removed that objection completely. You can become a breakthrough coaching client. And that's our highest level, our highest status coaching, and that has normally just been reserved for the 1% of all agents out there. Well, guess what, guys? We can now finance you student loans, and the way it works essentially is there's no interest for 12 months, and we'll finance you. That's the way it works. So that means that all of you, every single one of you, now should be able to qualify to become one of our coaching clients. Nobody else out there offers anything like this. no one else is going to go to the lengths that we have to make it so that the coaching is attainable by you. Now, this is something I haven't talked with Julie about, something I haven't talked with our coaches or our sales staff about, but I'm going to make a third announcement, and I'm going to tell you guys specifically what our goal is. So one of the things that everyone always complains about, or at least comments on in the real estate industry, is agents have no sort of unified training. There seems to be a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So here is the vision for our coaching company, and obviously it's going to take a lot of work to accomplish this goal, but I think I like big goals. So here it is. We want to become the provider of education for every single agent that gets a license from here forward and every single agent that's in the industry. We want to make it so that it's normal. So after you become you get your real estate license, a lot of agents then are basically set to sail with no particular direction, not knowing what to do and how to do it. Well, what we want to become is the de facto education source. And because we have the student loan option now, because we can in essence finance you guys now, that makes it so that the financial issue that a lot of you are facing or a lot of you have thought would be your obstacle to joining coaching has been removed. So every single one of you need to know what we're offering. You need to know how to list homes. You need to know how to lead generate. You need to know how to put a pre-listing pack together. Literally the thousands of things you learn when you become one of our coaching students will benefit you tremendously, not just now, but forever. And for that reason, and because of the fact that we have and are continuing to add fantastic coaches, it is my proclamation that we will become the preeminent provider, and literally as a result of that, agents will automatically want to join our coaching program because they're realizing that that's the next natural step when they're wanting to further their careers, but even more so when they're wanting to get their careers off to a great start. A lot of you guys have been in the business for a long time, and you've not really understood why your business is just sort of plateaued. I'll tell you, it's generally speaking, it's essentially lack of knowing what to do next and how to do it. Julie, do you have any comments on this?
Yeah, I do. I wanted to point out a real specific thing, which is some of you guys listening are saying, well, I've got training in my office. I mean, somebody comes in or I've got an office meeting that happens. We're not talking about training, guys. We're talking about coaching, and the specific difference is that a coach doesn't just tell you what to do. They show you how to do it, they give you a step-by-step process, and they hold you accountable to getting it done. They answer your questions as they come up along the way. They make sure you're implementing. That's very different than just an in-office trainer. And I just wanted to point that out, Tim, because some of these guys have kind of been bubbling along through office meetings and different things, thinking that they're getting what there is to get. And there's a whole other level of coaching out there for you guys. This is not just for the brand new licensed agent. This is for anyone who wants to take their business to the next level. So just want to make sure they were clear the difference between coaching and training.
This is in essence your MBA in real estate. That's really what it is.
Right. It's a good way to look at it.
I mean, that is what it is. Your license, you can get that. Your basic training, how to fill out forms and go to the MLS, you can do that. But actually how to make money and build a business, well, that's where it gets confusing, doesn't it? And there's a lot of misinformation out there. So what this coaching program does is it provides you with literally the answers to all the questions that you don't even know that you have yet, really. So, guys, there you go. So what are the next natural steps for you? Go to freecoachingcallsforagents.com, freecoachingcallsforagents.com. We've got literally 11 coaches on staff whose only job is to provide you with a free coaching call. Now, after the free coaching call, many of you will decide to become members of our coaching programs, but even if you don't, the free coaching call will be of tremendous value to you. And when you request a free coaching call, we obviously will, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but we'll give you two great books. One is Think and Grow Rich for Real Estate. It's our updated version of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's sold out on Amazon. I just decided not to republish it since we were just giving it out. So there you go. You can get your free copy of that. And the other is our Real Estate Treasure Map, and that is also included for free when all you have to do is request a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Now, existing coaching clients, you can also take care of the finance option. And the easiest way for you to do that is just email, or actually just go to Ask Your Coach. That's the simplest way. So if you're an existing coaching student, you want to take advantage of our in-house student loan financing now, just ask your coach and your coach will point you in the right direction. All right, enough of that. Let's get back to our content, Julie.
You got it. So we are talking about the principles of success. These are the things that our top producing agents and our colleagues through the years, these are things that they all have in common. So we started this last week. If you missed that radio show, it's easy to get caught up there. And we're going to continue this, I believe, on point number 4, Tim, of our principles of success. So point number 4, be creative in your solutions. Don't ever give up. Rigidity costs you money. Now, what do we mean by this? I can give you countless examples, as I'm sure you can, Tim, of things we've heard on coaching calls that just make our teeth itch sometimes, in terms of, agents may be saying no to a negotiation, just maybe they're burned out on it, or they really feel insulted by having to chip in, or maybe they just are not great negotiators yet. Be creative. Learn to be creative in your solutions. If it's the difference between getting the deal done and making nothing versus being creative, and that can mean many different things, right? Rejiggering your, closing dates, your possession dates, working on inspection items, getting a home warranty done, whatever it takes, be creative in your solutions and challenge yourself never to be the one who gives up on a deal. You're not allowed to give up. Only the other people are. Maybe you're the glue that makes the deal close. And I mean, we have so many examples, Tim, of coaching calls where occasionally we do what we call intervention coaching calls, or sometimes I call them diagnostic calls, so that it makes the deal happen. So don't give up. Be creative in your solutions. Stop saying no.
And the next point is one of my favorite ones. Existing coaching students, you're going to roll your eyes when you hear me say this, but it's so true. Repetitious boredom pays off. And I'm going to add to that one, Julie, because I know we don't have this one on these notes. Not only does repetitious boredom pay off, but if you're ever wondering what the secret, quote unquote, of long-term ever-increasing success is, it's very simple. It's doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. So 2 points really in this 1 point. Repetitious boredom pays off, and know that your ever-increasing success will come from doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. Those are kind of part and parcel, those 2 points. Again, existing coaching students, you've heard your coaches say this before. You certainly heard us say this on the radio show. But really, guys, at the end of the day, that is really the bottom line. You have to be willing to do what you don't necessarily feel like doing when you don't necessarily feel like doing it at the highest level. And what will happen is your actions will then make your feelings change. For example, I'm sure all of you have had a situation where you didn't feel like exercising. That's me every day. So you don't feel like exercising, but you get into the action of exercising, and then after maybe, if you're like me, 20 minutes of exercising, then all of a sudden you feel like exercising, whereas Julie likes to exercise anytime. She always feels like doing it, and a lot of you guys are probably like Julie, less lethargic naturally than, say, me. So the moral of the story is that your feelings and emotions will follow your actions. So repetitious boredom pays off, number one, and a lot of what we have to do every single day is boring. Let's just, accept that as what it is. It is boring to do lead generation. It is boring to follow up on home inspections. It is boring to do a lot of the things that are necessary to become successful. And the other thing, obviously, is doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it is the secret to long-term, ever-increasing success. Now, point number 6, Julie.
Point number 6, never practice what we call self-agency. That means taking care of only you first in your transactions. Because the fact is, the more people you help, the wealthier you will become. Stick to your mindset of service. A lot of agents will come to us with questions, and we always say the same thing. What is the best thing for your client? Sometimes agents get confused by this and put their ego before anything else in their deals. So point number 6, don't practice self-agency. You have buyer agency or you have seller agency. You do not have Julie agency, right? So the more people you help, the wealthier you will become. Keep it simple by sticking to your mindset of service. So point number 7, Tim?
Make the commitment to be the best at the things that make you the money in real estate. And those things are, in this order, guys, remember this. This really will help to purify your thinking about where you should be spending your greatest effort during the day. Lead generation, number 1. Lead follow-up. Obviously, lead follow-up leads to pre-qualifying. Then presenting, negotiating, and closing. I have heard, and Julie's heard, a lot of you who have heard us say those things before say that it was one of the most valuable things that you've ever heard since you got into real estate. That in essence, the things that you should be spending your best energies on every single day. Best energies for a lot of you mean how you feel in the morning, when you're energized, when you're excited, when you're optimistic, when you're the best iteration of yourself. That's when you should be doing the stuff that gets you the greatest result, the lead generation, the lead follow-up, the pre-qualifying, the presenting, negotiating, and closing, not the tweaking, not the voicemail checking, not the website altering, not the Facebooking. Don't do those things. For most of us, don't do those things in the morning, because then you're using your greatest opportunity. When you feel the best, you need to be using that energy to go after the things that have the most impact on your business and personal life. Point number 8, Julie.
Point number 8, don't accept mediocrity from yourself, your assistant, your team, or your office. Stop settling. When somebody screws something up, including yourself, stop yourself. That's not okay. You're supposed to be the best. Remember what our previous point was? Make the commitment to be the best at the things that make you money in real estate, and that means that applies to the people around you. Some of you guys just settle for, these team members that aren't actually doing anything, and then they, like, buyer agents are the perfect example, Tim. They'll come back to you almost every time saying, oh, the leads aren't any good. Really? Do they actually have lead conversion scripts? If you've coached them or we've coached them, and they're just not producing, that makes them mediocre. They're costing you money. Stop doing that. So don't accept mediocrity from yourself, your assistant, your team, or even your office. Point number 9, Tim?
Point number 9 is systematize and automate before you hire people. That's really important. I have to confess, Julie and I have made that mistake numerous times, because I'll tell you exactly how the mistake happens. Okay, having done this, here's how it happens. I'm going to find the perfect person, and this perfect person is going to somehow. They probably have a halo and wings. They're probably going to land in my business, and all of a sudden they're magically going to solve all the problems with the organization, with the systems, with that, with the other. In addition to that, they're going to do the actual work required of the job. Won't happen, never does, never has. And then what happens is you basically bring somebody else in, and they're going to be essentially trying to figure out who's on first. They're going to be trying to figure out what happens when and where and how, the rest of it. So what you need to do is, at the very least, have an understanding of what the system's supposed to look like, and then you need to have the elements of the system already laid out. Now, if you don't have like a procedures manual for a specific person, that's okay. You can hire someone in at that point, but don't hire someone in thinking that somehow magically they can do your job as the entrepreneur, as the CEO of your business, and see those little missing elements to string them together. That's your job as the business owner. If that's not something that you excel at, that's fine. You obviously need to look for help on how to put your systems together. I'm sorry for a little extra pitch here, but the reality of it is our coaching program does just that. I mean, if you're wanting to build your business, if you're wanting to build a team, if you're wanting to add buyer's agents and you're wanting to add transaction coordinators, we can walk you through exactly how to do it. But more importantly, guys, we'll walk you through exactly when to add staff and when not to add staff. That little element right there, the when to and when not to, is actually more important than the how to. So the next point, Julie.
All right, so the next point, Tim, is to adopt, point number 10, adopt best practices versus trying to reinvent the wheel. If your coach tells you that wipe-off boards work, don't argue with them that because you have a spreadsheet, you have visual accountability. There is magic in what you're being taught, so adopt the best practices that have worked for top-producing agents before you, and there's lots of different examples, but your coach can help you understand that. So many of you guys will look at something that's great, presented to you, where we ask you to implement, and then you go, well, I don't know. Maybe I want to re-engineer that. Maybe, I want to change that around, make it a little bit different. Just implement. If you know it works, because we have many, many examples of agents that have come before you, it's actually a lot easier to just implement. And in fact, when you try and reinvent the wheel, that's called creative avoidance. Get to implementing, and you will make more money faster. Point number 11, Tim.
Point number 11 is ABC. Always be closing. Closing for the appointment, closing for the sale, and the contract. One of the things that another way of, maybe more modern way of explaining that is being situationally aware. Being situationally aware is a military term, as a lot of you will be familiar with. And the essence of it is knowing what's going around, know what's going on around you, listening in on the conversations. When you're in a conversation with somebody, say while you're pre-qualifying, you have to actually be present with that conversation so you can kind of listen to the tonality in their voice, so you can pick up on basically the nonverbals that they're sharing with you, so you'll know how to actually set the appointment. What a lot of you guys do, and it's a normal process, a normal part of learning how to be a great agent, just understand that a lot of you will try to avoid setting the appointment. You'll actually do a great job generating the lead, and a lot of you do a great job pre-qualifying, but that's where you drop the ball. You don't actually set the appointment. Why don't you set the appointment? I'll save you the Dr. Phil time. The bottom line is because you're afraid by asking for the appointment that they're going to say no to you and you're going to be rejected. But what is in essence happening is by not actually setting the appointment, they are losing respect for you, even though you pre-qualified them, even though you've lead generated them in the first place. Your reluctance to set an appointment is sending a message to them that you're not very serious, or that you're too busy, or that you're not very professional. In other words, you're sending a message to them that they can't trust you and they won't want to work with you. You have to learn how to set the appointment. So always be closing is in your mind when you're at work. Every single conversation needs to be focused on the idea of obviously helping folks and generating a sale. Don't have conversations that are just public information announcements. Be drilling down. When you're calling your centers of influence and past clients, ask them the simple question, by the way, who do you know that I should be helping buy or sell their home right now? You don't have to say anything more aggressive than that. There's another great script of, it's my goal this month to help 3 people or 5 people or 10 people buy or sell a home. Who do you know that I should be helping? Whatever it is, emphasize the fact that you're looking to help folks. And when you do that, your ego actually won't throw up the brakes. In other words, your ego won't be saying, oh, hold on, don't close them too hard. Don't ask the question that could result in no. So by emphasizing your desire to be of service to folks, it'll actually make you more efficient. Point number 12. Yes.
Yes, point number 12 is the word focus. F-O-C-U-S means follow one path until successful. If I had a dime for every time somebody said, well, I tried a FSBO once. Okay. Well, is that following a path or is that dabbling? Dabbling doesn't make you money in real estate. So follow one path until successful. When you're learning a new skill in real estate, that means that your goal is to be the best at it, not just to try it out, to dabble, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Well, you're supposed to be using a script, doing some role play, practicing, getting your ducks in a row, and then specifically going after that. Quote, trying something is not the same as implementing it. So follow one course until successful. The other example I have of this, Tim, is things that you guys have done in the past that worked great. You got busy, you stopped doing it. I don't know what causes that other than getting busy and forgetting, but things that work for you should be systematized, automated if possible, so that you are focusing, follow one path until successful, versus what the typical agent does. We lovingly call them samplers. They go from one thing to the next, trying stuff out in search of that silver bullet. So instead of doing that, get your focus on, follow one path until successful. Point number 13, Tim.
Actually, you're going to do point number 13. You're the Star Wars fan.
Okay. Be committed to your practice, not having one foot in and one foot out. Have you guys ever noticed that agents that have taken this as their career path always make more money versus, quote, trying real estate out? There is no try in real estate. There's only do or do not, something Yoda said in the original Star Wars. There is not try. There is either do or do not. So be committed to your practice. And we always correct you guys on coaching calls when you say things like, well, I'll try it, or maybe it'll work. We've already decided to fail if you use that kind of language to yourself. It's almost an instant negative affirmation. Be committed to it working. I really think, Tim, 90% of it, assuming that you're using, what we've set you up with the pre-listing package and the listing presentation, when you're walking up to that seller's door, when you're going on that listing appointment, if you haven't decided that that's your next listing and you've got in your head, well, if I go on 4, I should take 2, and maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. Well, you've already failed at that point. You might as well not even knock on their door. You've got to be committed and decide you're either going to do it or do not. Think of Yoda if that helps. Think of him, accompanying you to your appointments. There's the little Yoda next to you saying it's do or do not just try, not just mess around. Make sense, Tim?
It does. And, it's an interesting question I was thinking about. You were using a for sale by owner, as we call him here, unrepresented seller. So every single one of you know of an unrepresented seller for sale by owner right now. You've driven past one. There's one in your neighborhood. You know of a for sale by owner that you have never solicited. You've never asked them basically if they're interested in listing with an agent. You've making all these assumptions about the seller's motivation. It's interesting that when you are saying, if I were to go to your office and say, well, okay, what is the greatest challenge you're having in your business? Every single one of you would say the same thing: leads, That's what people always say. I need more leads. Okay, I respect that. You probably do need more leads. But the reality of it is leads are all around you. Going back to the previous point about being situationally aware, all around you, every single person you run into is in real estate. I'm not talking about licensees. I'm talking about your neighbors, your friends, your family. When you go to the store today, when you go pump gas, every single one of them, guys, are either own real estate, want to own real estate they want to sell, own real estate, and they want to buy more real estate. Every single person that you're constantly surrounded by is in real estate. You guys see the blessing of this industry? You'll never find anybody that doesn't have some form of housing expense. It is what it is. Unlike, say, for example, if you were selling planes. I mean, how many people out there want planes? Or if you were selling, something else that's like that. Constantly, you guys are surrounded by opportunity. And yet, you say, well, I have a hard time finding leads. That's not true, is it? It's not that you have a hard time finding leads. It's just that you guys are not yet skilled enough or confident enough in what to say and how to generate leads yourselves. And that's the reason that so many of you succumb to paying for leads. That's the reason that so many of you guys think that the only way for you to generate leads is by constantly beating on your centers of influence and past clients. Guys, those are all viable ways of generating business. I'm not doubting that. Certainly centers of influence and past clients are something we absolutely advocate. But the reality of it is, guys, is there's dozens and dozens of great ways to lead generate, for sure, but there's only really about 10 that are really highly productive, that really get great consistent results when you've learned the skills, when you've actually taken the time to say, this is something that I'm going to become the best at. And the nice thing about those particular things, for example, knowing how to communicate with that for sale by owner, the nice thing about developing that skill set is because so many other agents are afraid or reluctant to or whatever, you won't have as much competition when you're pursuing that type of lead, that type of listing, than you will when you buy a lead from Zillow. See, that's the irony of it, guys. The buying of leads, the buying of buyer leads, that worked great 10 years ago. It did. Why? Because there weren't a lot of agents doing it. Because consumers weren't so inundated with so many different opportunities to fill out forms to get housing information. The whole model of buying leads, the reason it doesn't work as well is because it's oversaturated. There's too many people selling the leads, too many people buying leads. Consumers are burned out on a lot of that, sort of whole process. They're becoming wiser to it, so they're being apprehensive. They're putting in bogus information. All of that is going to just intensify. So if you're not accepting the responsibility of becoming your own master lead generator, it's just going to get harder on you guys. This is just common sense, isn't it? So, Julie, we have 2 more points. I'm going to encapsulate them both for the sake of time. Mm-hmm. Point number 14 is answer the phone. And point number 15 is don't be a secret agent. So, Julie, can you kind of encapsulate both of those points for the sake of brevity?
Yeah. Every single week our coaches report back to us. Clients are doing amazing deals because they got clear on something very simple. Answer the phone. Stop being a voicemail abuser, an emailer, a texter, an automated systemer. Answer your phone. Pretty simple. And point number 15, don't be a secret agent. Also related to the previous point, wear your name tag. Make sure people know what you do for a living. Stop being weird about that. I call it reverse prospecting. People ask you, how's real estate? We give you scripts for that. So we need to wrap up the show, and you can get the previous points from a previous show last week, realestatecoachingradio.com. And Tim, anything else you need to tell them?
Well, I mean, why do they actually choose to be secret agents? That's an interesting question I'm going to leave you guys with. If you're not overtly every single day and every single opportunity that you are picking up on from being situationally aware, conversations that are happening around you, if you're not offering those folks your service, if in other words you're not focused on being of service to all the people out there that you could be, why not? I mean, you say you're looking for leads. I assume that you're wanting to make money. I assume that you want to, basically build your business. Well, why are you not letting the world know this is what you do? Are you ashamed of being a salesperson? Do you not consider yourself a salesperson? Is it because you're afraid of them asking a question that you don't know how to answer? Is it because you don't want to have to compete? What is it? What's the reason why, given all this information that we give you every single day on Real Estate Coaching Radio, what is the reason why that you are, some of you, are resisting the opportunity that this incredible real estate market is? Guys, we're at the very beginning stages of what's going to be at least a 10-year real estate boom. You have got to do everything in your power to make the most of it. You will never forgive yourself if you don't. If there's anything we can be doing for you at any time, please request a free coaching call. And guys, listen, we are now offering student loans. We're the only coaching organization out there for realtors that offers student loans. This is your opportunity to join the most elite coaching program that we offer, the Breakthrough Coaching Program. And literally, guys, we'll finance it. Obviously you have to, go through you have to answer 5 questions, and assuming everything is green-lit, then boom, you're a coaching student. Very simple. The easiest way for you to do that is go to freecoachingcallsforagents.com, freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Request, obviously, a free coaching call with one of our coaches that we set aside specifically for the task of giving you guys those free coaching calls. On that free coaching call, we'll also give you our 2 books. We're also going to give you a specific action plan of what you need to be doing immediately to get yourself in the position of helping others and making money. And if it is a good fit for you, then obviously this is an opportunity for you to join our Breakthrough Coaching Program, and we're offering student loans. So there you go. You guys go. I can't make it any easier for you. Anything we can be doing for you, let us know. In the meantime, we'll talk with you on the radio tomorrow.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows, and until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.